It is official. The Eagles are NFC East champions after obliterating the Dallas Cowboys in even worse fashion than they did last time. A total team effort, including 2 backup quarterbacks carving out the stinking Cowboys. And now the Eagles have a big decision to make with Saquon Barkley on the verge of NFL history. What do they do against the Giants? We'll talk about that. And should the Eagles have a serious convo about their backup quarterback? We'll get into all of it, but welcome into A to Z Philly. I'm RB. Do me a favor, like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you do enjoy the coverage, we are about to hit 8,000 subscribers. Appreciate everybody being along for the journey. And speaking of the journey, talk about a journey for the Philadelphia Eagles, man. I mean, they start out this season and there's some questions, right? 2-2 going into the bye week, having to correct some things. They've only lost 1 game since. They are 13-3, and now they are division champions. And ladies and gentlemen, they haven't lost in Kelly Green, and they haven't lost to the Cowboys this season. This is the first time since 2011 that the Eagles have swept the Dallas Cowboys in a season, 34-6. And you know what? How about they one up them 41-7 in this game? Total team domination from start to finish. Yeah, the first quarter was a bit shaky, but you go from 12-3 in terms of time of possession in the first quarter for Dallas to 12-3 for Philly in the second. And I don't know what the first drive was. You know, they come out and they don't give Saquon a touch. Boy, we'll talk about Saquon. And then on the second drive, they give him all 3 touches. Then they punt on a 4th and 1. You're like, uh-oh, this could be a game, right? Nope, pick 6. Eagles defense steps it up, makes some big stops. And I think that's what I'm overall just happy with about this game. They shut down the noise. They quieted everybody who said, oh, well, the defense is starting to falter a bit after last week. No, the Eagles have been a solidified team. I cannot even comprehend how people were worried about the Cowboys with Cooper Rush, let alone without CeeDee Lamb. I knew the Eagles were going to get this done, and boy, did they dominate the Dallas Cowboys. And it's just sweet to put them away. And Nick Sirianni's now 47-20 as a head coach after his team's win over the Cowboys. Eagles are NFC East champs, and now there is no repeat winner again. Eagles were the last team to repeat. They did it 4 times in a row. It has been 20 years since we had a NFC East champion repeat. If the Eagles had not choked 10-1 last year, they would have done it 3 times in a row now, but that's how the cookie has crumbled. Nick Sirianni, the #1 winning percentage among active head coaches, so shout out to him. And here's Saquon Barkley right after the game about being an NFC East champ for the first time in his career. Quote, I'm happy. It's my first hat and t-shirt game. I didn't even know that was a thing. Well, you can thank that terrible, miserable franchise, a.k.a. the New York Giants, for that. Speaking of which, let's check in on the Giants, because while the Eagles are just destroying the Cowboys casually and putting an end to their season and, you know, just pretty much giving them misery, right? Cowboys had won 4 out of 5. Oh, we're hot. We're coming in. We're going to give them a game. No, you're not. Shut up. Eagles are amazing, and the Cowboys are atrocious. But let's go ahead and check on the New York Giants, who decided to win today. They dropped 45 points. Drew Lock, who was benched earlier in the season, makes a statement and says, you know what? You guys wanted to demote me to the 4th string? Okay, bet. I'll win in week 17, and I'll screw up the draft positioning. Ladies and gentlemen, Giants were in the driver's seat for the #1 pick. And now they won today. And now they screwed themselves over. The Giants are maybe having the worst season you could ever ask for in NFL history. And the Dallas Cowboys are also having a bad season because while they just stayed relevant, while they won enough games in the last couple weeks to maybe save Mike McCarthy his job and just to stay relevant in the headlines, they actually screwed their draft positioning as well. So shout out to the Cowboys and the Giants, because the Eagles own this division. And speaking of the Cowboys, who are also a miserable franchise, here is one of the Cowboy players trying to shove Devontae Smith and pretty much bang him up. Blatant shove was not called in this game. Kenny Pickett gets banged up twice in this game. One guy blasts him in the ribs, gets a 15-yarder. And then a couple plays later, Micah Parsons goes and chips him as well after he throws the ball. No penalty on this one. It was definitely bang, bang, but still hit him after the ball was out, nothing. Then you have Micah Parsons' brother here on Twitter with some real loser energy. He says, y'all wanted Micah to do something. Now you are down another quarterback. That's what y'all get for talking smack. So again, I think the Eagles, kind of pulled guys a little bit late in this game. Couple guys went down. You got to worry about injury because those guys were out there pretty much trying to injure the Eagles because they had nothing left to play for, and they're a miserable franchise. It is what it is. But speaking of injuries, you don't want Saquon to get injured. We'll talk about that in a second, but can we just give this guy some credit, man? Can we just give him some praise? 2,000 yards. Like, this is not normal. You don't typically see this, especially in the first year with a new situation, a new franchise. And there's the graphic, man. Saquon Barkley surpasses 2,000 rushing yards in this game, 345 carries. So, by the way, Eric Dickerson, who was salty this week saying, oh, I don't want Saquon to break my record. Guess what? He's done it in less carries than you have, even though he's played or he's going to play in one more game. He's done it in less carries than you. So stop whining, man. You didn't see LaShawn McCoy whining when Saquon broke his record. But anyway, just unbelievable stuff out of Saquon. Now the 9th season in NFL history where a guy surpasses 2,000 rushing yards. And in this day and age, man, it is not easy. So, we think back to Saquon having a 255-yard rush game or having 4 60-plus yard rushing touchdowns. Just the things he's done this season have been memorable. He's helped the Eagles establish and build this running identity, and it's just brought them everywhere that they want to go this season. So shout out to Saquon. And now he has a chance after rushing for 167 today. Yes, the Eagles were force-feeding him in the fourth quarter early. They got him to 2,000, then they pulled him out. So that makes me feel a couple different ways. But you want to talk about prime NFL storyline, you want to talk about poetry, Saquon Barkley with a chance to break Eric Dickerson's record against the Giants in Philadelphia. Do you understand how insane, how bonkers it's going to be at the Link if he does that? He needs 101 rushing yards against the GM and the owner that pretty much threw him away. I mean, especially the GM on live television, on national TV in Hard Knocks saying, yeah, we're comfortable with Daniel Jones. We need to build around him. The guy got cut. He's not even on the team anymore. Like I said, the Giants have had the worst season in NFL history. Could you imagine topping it off with Saquon going over 101 to break the record against him? I mean, this owner, he was already sick when Saquon went to Philly. Could you imagine what's going to happen now? I mean, this guy might actually resign. He might quit and sell the team and go buy a cricket team or something. Listen, man, Saquon Barkley, here's his teammate advocating for him to play next week. He says, AJ wants to see Saquon get the all-time single-season rushing record. It would be cool to be a part of it and tell his kids he was Saquon's teammate. Players are advocating. Media are already talking about it. Should they do it? Should they do it? I mean, today they force-fed Saquon 31 carries. They kept rushing it to him. I think he had like 9 in a row or 7 in a row on that final drive he was in, and he runs for 167. And really, once they started to establish the run in this game, that's what got them going, and they didn't look back. The defense had a couple big interceptions, and, the play before half with the tush push, shout out to the Eagles for finally doing that. Guess it's a system play, not just a Jalen Hurts thing, but Saquon Barkley took them where they needed to go. And like 167 feels like normal at this point, which is insane. But next week now, depending on what happens today, at the point I'm recording this, the Lions and the Vikings have not played. So if both of them lose and the Vikings beat the Lions next week and the Eagles beat the Giants, then the Eagles would actually end up the number 1 seed. Now, the likelihood of that happening, probably not, right? And if that does not happen, then the Eagles are going to be locked into the number 2 seed. So the question is, should they play Saquon and let him try to get the record? So one part of me feels like, hey, this is not smart. Eyes on the prize. You need the Super Bowl. That's what everybody cares about. And if you ask Saquon Barkley himself, I feel like he's going to say the same thing. Like, yeah, I want to get the record, obviously, but I want to do what's best for the team. And that's one thing I really do respect when we kind of reflect on this Saquon season. Obviously, it's fresh, right? But, he's so humble, man. He wants to do what's best for the team. He hasn't had any issues. He's done everything the right way, and he's been an absolute monster on the field. I think he would say, let's do whatever's best for the team. But the other part of me, and the part I'm leaning towards, is the Eagles saying to themselves, This is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. Let's go and give them the first half to try to get it done. And especially if Jalen Hurts comes back, we don't know if he's going to play or not. If Jalen Hurts ends up playing, then they might throw the starters out there for the first half just to try to get them in the rhythm heading into the playoffs. Now, where I step back and I think back to 22 is they were the 1 seed, so they had the bye week, and then they pretty much sat in the last week for the most part. So they were really refreshed. They were ready to go, and potentially not having the bye week here, giving these guys a week off would really do a lot for their health and just where they're at as a team. And you obviously don't want anybody to get injured. If Saquon, God forbid, was to go down and get injured trying for the record, I mean, it would just take the life out of everybody. So I don't know, man. It's a very, very tough decision. And I'm leaning towards saying, no, don't play him. Don't risk it. But then again, it is a once-in-a-lifetime thing. And I'm starting to feel like, yeah, they pulled him out. He got his 2,000, and they're going to try to let him go for it for 101 yards in the first half next week. And we'll see what they do, man. Very, very tough decision. But if there's any way to play for the number 1 seed, and that's still in play, then yeah, I think they do have to let him play, and they're going to play everybody. So we'll see, man. It's going to be very, very interesting. Also, shout out to A.J. Brown, man. He goes and gifts his jersey signed to the fan that he actually threw the football to. Here's A.J. Brown throwing away Tanner McKee's first touchdown pass to a guy in the stands. And then they realize, oh, wait, that's Tanner McKee's first touchdown. Big Dom goes over, gets the ball back, and AJ gives his jersey out after the game to the guy. We got to talk about Tanner McKee, because if it came down to the backup quarterback convo right now, and I said this last week, a lot of people didn't like it, I think I would go with Tanner McKee. Nothing against Kenny Pickett. We look at Kenny in this game. He played very well. He did his job. He was getting hit left and right in that second half. He was staying in there, trying to be tough. But he made some good throws. Once they started to trust in him, 10 for 15, 143 yards and a touchdown. But when Tanner McKee came in the football game, he throws 4 passes, and 2 of them were for touchdowns to Devontae and to AJ. And matter of fact, the first one to AJ almost was the catch of the year. If AJ could have tapped down that second foot, that was another beautiful throw. So Tanner McKee didn't even look like he was trying. He was out there, second-year player, 6th-round pick. Like I said this week, he is a hidden gem, man. This guy can throw the football. His confidence, just how quick he was reading the field, and he almost short-armed it, and he has a lot of strength in that arm. But Tanner McKee of the Eagles is the first player in the NFL draft since 1936, the draft era, to have multiple touchdown passes in his NFL debut while attempting 5 or fewer passes. I mean, my gosh, this guy, I really believe if something happened in the playoffs and they had to bring somebody in, I think Tanner McKee could really fill the void. A lot of people said, oh, well, he didn't do it against NFL competition yet. He didn't do it against starters. Well, look at what he did today, man. He was locked in. I wanted them to give him more opportunity to throw the football. I think he's really good. I think he's got something there. I think the Eagles have something there. The reporters said all training camp that he was outplaying Kenny Pickett. And although I do like Kenny Pickett, and shout out to Kenny, lifelong Eagles fan, gets to beat the Cowboys to clinch the division. I know that's a great feeling. I just have more confidence in Tanner McKee right now. So do you agree or disagree with that? Shout out to Smitty with 120 yards in this game, 2 touchdowns, and the defense from top to bottom. CJ Gardner-Johnson, Quinyon stepped it up big time. Kind of got his first pick stolen, by the way, which sucked. But, Cooper DeJean, Darius Slay stepped it up. How about Moro Jomo made some plays? Nolan Smith continues to impress. And even Oren Burks filling in for N'Kobe pokes the ball away. So just really a total team effort. They whopped the Dallas Cowboys, and that's an absolutely beautiful way to clinch the NFC East. But we have a lot to talk about this upcoming week. Give me all your thoughts down below in the comments section. And as always, appreciate everybody for tapping in. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll catch you all on the next one, man.
Tap into BetMGM Casino, and you're entering a huge library full of exclusive games. Games you won't find anywhere else. Looking for jackpots? Right this way. You'll always find someone ready to give you a hand. Or some dice. Your favorite game is waiting for you on BetMGM Casino.